6:01 on this Monday morning. Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis.
And I'm Tim Pham. Well, gosh, this morning you're going to want to open up the windows now while the air is pretty refreshing because it is going to get hot. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us in the Weather Center. Now, Thomas, so just how hot are we talking, and could we break a record today?
For today, I think we'll fall shy, but this week, absolutely. We're going to have multiple chances to hit those records. So one of these next 4 days, it is likely going to happen. Also, great advice, Tim. At these hours of the morning, you can get away with opening the windows and giving the air conditioning a break, because that air conditioning is going to work overtime, especially during the heat of the day in the afternoon hours. Excessive heat warnings covering this heat wave that is incoming starting today and lasting through Thursday. And that's the key. This is a 4-day heat wave. This is not just 1 day in the hundreds. This could be 4 straight days in the 100s across central and eastern Washington, going 100 degrees right here in Spokane, though the record is 103 for today. So falling just shy of that for this afternoon, but we'll have several days to try to crack that in the coming forecast. But right now it is still in the 60s across most of the inland Northwest, but that summer sunshine is going to heat us up extremely quickly today.
Now, with this heat, there are several things that you should be doing to try and stay healthy during this time, like drinking plenty of water. So this morning, our Nicole Hernandez is joining us live with more on how much water we should be drinking. So Nicole, how much water should we be drinking in order to stay hydrated with the temperatures being this extremely high?
So Channing, of course it changes based on how much you weigh, how much you're outside, but the general guidance from the CDC is that for every hour you're outside in extreme heat like it's going to be later this afternoon, you should drink 1 to 2 bottles of water. So if you're heading out for a full 8-hour day of work outside, or if you're planning on going to the water to cool off for a full day, after that full 8 hours, that means you should be drinking at least 8 full bottles of water, and that's up to 16 bottles to be staying hydrated. A lot of water, I know, but that heat can really take it out of you. So on top of drinking water, another thing to look out for is signs of heat stroke and heat illness. So you should pay attention for that. Listen to your body. If you start feeling heat cramps or you start sweating a lot or you get a headache, you should find a place to cool down and rest. But if you stop sweating, you get dizzy, or you even lose consciousness, that means you have signs of heat stroke. That's very dangerous, so you should call 911 right away if you feel those things. The heat, of course, can affect our pets as well, so make sure to pay attention for signs of them being uncomfortable in the heat as well. Never leave a pet in your car, and if they need to get out to run off some energy, try to get out as early as possible before it heats up. And never, of course, let your pups walk on that hot asphalt, because Thomas mentioned earlier, it can burn their paws. And again, like Thomas mentioned, this heat lasting a few days here, and with sustained heat, our vulnerable populations like the elderly and children, it's particularly dangerous for them if they don't have air conditioning. So one thing you can do over the next few days, if you have an extra minute, check on your friends, your family, your neighbors who don't have air conditioning. Make sure they're finding ways to stay cool. In Spokane, Nicole Hernandez, KREM 2 News.
A Spokane woman is sitting in the King County Jail this morning for allegedly intentionally setting several fires in the West Hills neighborhood 2 weeks ago.
Now, these fires forced people to evacuate and threatened dozens of homes. 53-year-old Vicki Smith was arrested on Thursday. She's now waiting to be extradited back to Spokane County. Court records show that Spokane police questioned Smith just hours after these fires started. Officers say that Smith repeatedly asked them if she was going to be arrested for lighting the fires, admitting to starting them to get housing.
Telling me about how discouraged she was about the services that she got. She got nothing to eat, nothing to drink, you know, how all these programs for the homeless were terrible.
Now, officers say that she told them there wouldn't be any more fires because it wasn't August 3rd anymore. Investigators later tied that reference to graffiti that was written downtown Spokane, threatening to burn Spokane on August 3rd. Surveillance video from a nearby bank showing a woman appearing to write these messages was then matched to the recorded interview with Smith.
At KREM 2, we bring you more to every story. We reached out to Spokane police to ask why the arson suspect was let go, even after she admitted to setting multiple fires.
According to court documents, this graffiti saying "Burn Down Spokane" with a date of August 3rd was found on August 3rd. That was last Thursday. It was discovered as the Spokane Fire Department was investigating 3 fires that started that same day. All of the fires were started within blocks of each other, and investigators were immediately able to tell they were intentionally set. Later that night, just after midnight, as the Sunset Highway fire was still actively burning, Spokane police were called to investigate a trespassing call near a bank on Division and Indiana. According to court records, the suspect, now identified as Vicki Smith, repeatedly asked if she was going to be arrested for lighting fires, but didn't want to hurt anyone. But police did not arrest Smith or question her further. Documents show they gave her a ride to the homeless shelter. The next morning, Friday, August 4th, Spokane Fire Chief Brian Schaefer told KREM 2 News an arsonist was responsible for at least 3 suspicious fires in the West Hills.
We've got burn patterns on the ground that point directly to where somebody started a fire. It is pretty clear and equally concerning.
It wasn't until Monday, August 7th, that Spokane police say they received information about those intentionally set fires from the week before. Detectives say that's when they learned of the other officer's interaction with Vicki Smith. Using surveillance video, witness reports, and body cam footage, police determined the same person was connected to the graffiti and the fires. 5 in Dishman Hills and 3 in the West Hills on August 3rd.
It's 6:07. Let's take a look at your morning rush. More news in less time. The Bonner County Sheriff's Office asking for your help this morning to find a missing and endangered little boy. 1-year-old Forrest Brubaker is believed to be with his non-custodial mother, 40-year-old Laurel Hannah. Investigators say she has connections to Washington State and could be headed to Mexico. Authorities also believe they could be traveling in a white 1997 Toyota Hi-Ace camper van or a blue 2011 RAV4. If you have any information, call 911. New information on a deadly crash last week. 2 people were killed in a 3-car crash on Trent Avenue on Friday. Spokane police say a person driving east on Trent hit a car heading west. Both cars then hit a utility vehicle. The driver and passenger of the westbound car were killed in the crash. The driver of the eastbound car was detained because police believe they were impaired while driving. Another story we're tracking for you this morning. Sheriff's deputies in Gem County arrested former Idaho gubernatorial candidate Ammon Bundy on Friday. He's been charged with contempt of court stemming from his legal battle with St. Luke's Children's Hospital. Just last month, a jury in Ada County just awarded the hospital $52 million after finding Bundy harassed hospital staff. Another lawsuit has now been filed against Bundy, this one accusing him of fraud to avoid having to pay the hospital that $52 million.
Long live the King, Felix Hernandez!
What a weekend at T-Mobile Park. Former Seattle Mariners pitcher Felix Hernandez is now an official member of the team's Hall of Fame. The King was crowned at Saturday night's game against the Orioles. He's actually the 11th person to be honored by the franchise. He pitched his entire 15-year career with the Mariners, and of course, he pitched the only perfect game in franchise history. That is a look at your morning rush.
Well, on this hot week, it's important to know that at least our cooler temperatures in these early morning hours are going to be very important for anybody hoping to get outside for any period of time. That could just something as simple as walking the dog or just getting that morning exercise routine in. It's definitely okay to do it and ideal to do it at these hours of the morning before it gets a little bit too stifling hot outside. Current temperature is still at 67 degrees, and we're seeing plenty of mid to upper 60s at this hour across the inland Northwest. But look at how quickly those temperatures rise. We're in the 80s by 10 a.m., 90s by noon, and then close to 100 degrees during the afternoon hours. That's when you're going to want to avoid the outdoors if you can, unless you have an easy way to cool off. So there's your expected high temperatures. Again, triple digits all across central Washington and starting in Spokane today and likely for several days this week.